Aurora police officers themselves started to come to me and said, Danielle, it's bigger than this. You need to know who's here. And they said, there's a Venezuelan prison gang here called Tren de Aragua. Yeah. And they are actually taking over apartment complexes. So it was after that mass gathering that I first heard about this gang.
That video they had on their door.
Yeah.
And then AR, and like that one kind of blew everyone's mind across the world. I was seeing like every blog platform posting it everywhere.
Yeah.
Fox News, it didn't matter. Everybody.
And that's when I went in and moved the Romeros out.
Yeah.
Because the police were still denying that there was a problem at these apartment complexes. Yeah. There's a big misconception about that video. After the mass gathering and police officers started coming to me and saying, Danielle, you need to know who's here, and that apartment complexes in this city are being taken over. And there's apartment complexes that we have been told that we either can't respond to at all, or we have to respond to with at least 4 officers in an armored vehicle. All while the department was denying that there was any issues going on in these complexes. They were only talking about code enforcement violations. But I drove by and I thought, I gotta see what's going on for myself. I believe in the Second Amendment. I have a concealed carry permit. I carry a gun. Well, I pull up. The parking lot was filled with broken down vehicles, glass, no license plate, but glass all over the place. I park my car and I get out and I maybe make it 2 steps in the direction of the apartment complex, and I hear an alert whistle, and I knew it was an alert whistle. I know the difference between a cat call whistle and an alert whistle. This was an alert whistle. It was a high-pitched, just like a siren. I mean, it almost sounded like a siren. And I turn around, and at the corner, there's a teenage kid posted there, staring at me. And he's the one that did the whistle. No sooner turn back around, and I see a whole bunch of folks walking out of the Edgett Lowry apartment complex, staring at me. And all military-aged young men wearing Chicago Bulls jerseys, everything that the police had told me that were identifying factors of Tren de Aragua is what I saw. And there was a lot of them. And I turned right around, I got right back in my car, and I took off. But I continue to be vocal on social media, and I continue to start releasing internal emails. One day I get a phone call from Vicente Arenas from Fox 31 News, an actual reporter. And this is where the misconception comes in. He calls me and he says, Danielle, what are you doing right now? And I said, nothing. And I'm already getting attacked. You know, people are saying I'm making this up and I'm attacking peaceful migrants. And so this is when it was on. He says, I got to meet with you. And I said, Vicente, what story are you working on? I said, I'm tired. I'm emotionally drained. And he said, well, it's about these apartment complexes that you're talking about. He said, but I have to meet with you. So I go and I meet him and he says, well, I have something to show you. He showed me that video. That's the misconception. People have said that I put that video footage out to gain attention and this and that. The media already had that video footage. And the reason Vicente already had that video footage is because the Romeros got so sick and tired of calling 911 hundreds of times and the cops weren't coming, they started calling news tip lines. So Vicente shows me this video footage and I'm like, what is that? And he said, it's one of the apartment complexes that you keep talking about. And I said, oh my gosh. And he said, it gets worse. I said, how's it get worse? And he said, Danielle, there's Americans trapped in this apartment complex. The Sunday night before, Vicente reached out to me. There was that massive 80-round shootout, left one Venezuelan man dead in the parking lot, but everyone's cars were shot up. Cindy and Edward Romero, one of their cars had 8 bullet holes. The other car had 9 bullet holes. They were literally trapped in their apartment. That was not just a one-off situation. At any given time, the Romeros would open their door and there'd be a man there with a gun. I mean, they were literally trapped in their apartment. They were going around with axes, chopping people's door handles off. So Vicente shows me this video footage, and I said, why are you bringing this to me? And he said, you're the only one talking about it. These people are going to get killed. And he said, I know. Even though he knew this was going to be probably the biggest story of his career, and it was, he knew he couldn't release the video footage. It would have gotten people killed. The whole world is calling me a liar, calling me crazy,
right,
saying I'm a racist. Please get me in contact with the Romeros. I'm going to get them out of there. And then you can release this video footage. So he and I made this agreement. He got me in touch with the Romeros. The end result, I found a place for them to go. We staged this. We hit a U-Haul truck. It was a whole big operation to get them out of there because they were scared that if the gang caught on, that they were going to try and move out, they might hurt them. Or, who knows at that point. I went in there and got the Romeros out. Well, once the Romeros were out, that's when Vicente released that video footage. I never even had possession of that video footage. That was a big misconception that the media really, that this was all for attention and that was just a one-time thing. When you have Cindy Romero trying to tell the media they're storing at least 200 guns in that building right there. But of course that was all before the election. It was leading up to the election. So it just turned into political football.
Right.
It is really what happened. It didn't matter to me. I know I saved their lives. They know I saved their lives. Everything that I've been through with all of that, that's all that matters to me. Right. And I think that so much has come out now that any sane person knows the truth now about those apartment complexes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that, of course, not every illegal immigrant's like this crazy thing that, there's a lot of good people, but that doesn't deny the fact that there are some bad people as well that are obviously, I mean, like you said, it's public knowledge now. We've seen the videos that were doing bad things, so. Well,
the saddest part about it is once there were no more Americans, they started preying on other migrants.
Right.